Hello YouTube and welcome to Turmoil in the Toybox. I'm your host Aaron Hauser, and today we'll be doing a review on my collection of Hellraiser figures from NECA. We've got CD, Angelique, the Surgeon, Butterball, Dr. Chenard, Pinhead, Julia, the Wire Twins, and Stitch. And then we've also got the Torso Chatterer. So let's start off with the Kingpin himself, no pun intended, Pinhead. The lead Cenobite, awesome figure. This is the same sculpt as the 18-inch that NECA released. It's got articulation at, oh no, not at the waist, at the shoulders, pivots at the upper arm and at the wrist. Comes with a variety of accessories here that are attached to his tool belt. There is no real movement in the neck at all, just because it's so tight. Also, the pins kind of inhibit a whole lot of movement there. So he also comes with the lament configuration. It's kind of hard to balance the cube on his hand. So what I did was I placed a little layer of super glue there, and it held it in nicely, so he doesn't have to fall all over the place. Very cool figure though, a lot of really cool detail to him. The pins, as with the 18-inch, are kind of bent all over the place, but you know, from a distance it doesn't look too bad. But there's not really a lot you can do about that. The pins are fairly fragile, and if you try to bend them each, they'll kind of they'll either snap or they'll just kind of warp a little. So you got to be careful with that. But overall, very cool figure. This one's fairly easy to find. This one that I got was from the, I want to say this was from the Cult Classics Icon series. It didn't have a base or anything else, just came with the lament configuration as well as his tools, and that was about it. So, that's Pinhead for you. Set him over here. Next up we'll do Skinless Julia. She actually came with bandages that went all over her, as well as like a dress. But I don't know, I always thought this looked so much cooler having the exposed muscle the way it is. Just thought that looked a little bit more interesting. There is articulation in the hips slightly. The arms can rotate, but this figure's very tight, doesn't seem to want to move a whole lot. And there's also rotation in the wrist, ball joint for the head. She also comes with this human heart, which looks awesome. I had to do the same thing as I did with the Pinhead. I kind of had to glue this in place so that it would display nicely. But very, very cool figure. Give you kind of a spin around here. Now, this figure did not come with a stand that I remember, so I ended up putting this one on one of these McFarlane stands to try to keep her a bit more balanced, which in the long run really paid off, because this one took several shelf dives. So, yep. Alright. Next up we'll do the Wire Twins. These ones scare the fuck out of me. These were, I'm trying to remember which film these showed up in. It was the one with the detective that was cheating on his wife, and these sexy chicks showed up to torment him in one of his dreams. But yeah, very cool detail. They've got that kind of Michelle Pfeiffer Catwoman look to them. All except for the exposed organs. That's very different. There's articulation in the shoulders and in the wrists. Nothing really from the legs down at all. The heads are on a ball joint, but you can't move them because these wires that are connected to the chins, they would snap. I do love the detail on these though. It looks very cool. I like the sliced in etchings on their flesh there. They've also got these like fake hair braids there, which is kind of cool. The only real difference between these two is really this one's got a clenched hand on this side, where a a weapon would have gone if you would have had the single wire twin pack. And this one has a regular open hand on this side. Also, you might notice the sexy tongue sticking out there. This one does not have that. So, give you a close-up of this one. Like I said, there's not really a whole lot different. Both very cool figures, though. I think it was about 20 bucks for the pack of the two of these, so yeah. Set these girls back here. They both, of course, came with the Chatterer. This is the torso version, and apparently the only explanation NECA had for him was that he just crawled through halls looking for the actual Chatterer, which was supposed to be his master, I guess. I don't know. They never really explained that in the movie. They just were like, hey, we couldn't afford to make a whole Chatterer, so here's half. Ta-da! But, yeah, he's really creepy looking. It's actually made out of rubber. There's, like, nothing solid plastic to this. It's like a bendable Gumby figure. So, he stands up fairly well. He kind of just does that bit. So, that's about it for him. Alright. Next up we have Stitch. Can't really remember her backstory. Very cool figure, though. Comes with a couple different accessories on her belt, as do most of the Cenobites. Also has an interesting touch. Comes with a mask. Now, you can't really see it because I have it hanging on her hand, but this mask was the one that was placed on one of the victims in the film, and then it screwed into his or her head. I'm trying to remember which film that appeared in, but it was a really cool little bit. And this figure actually looks very cool. As you can see, her head is kind of spliced together there. There's articulation in the shoulders. There's some in the wrist, or not, it's not the wrist, excuse me, in the elbow. Pivot's kind of there, and then not a whole lot in the actual wrist. There's no torso movement at all either. The head can kind of tilt back and forth on this one, but it just spins. There's no actual ball joint on this one, so yep. Next we'll do one of my favorites, Butterball. He's just so damn cute. A lot of really cool detail to him. As you can see, he's got the full belt of tools there. Comes with a little ice pick. This one actually came with an interchangeable head. The head just kind of pops off, and I'm trying to see. No, it's kind of stuck on there for now. But it also came with one without his glasses on, so that was kind of cool. This one's got a bit more articulation on it, though. He's got arms that tilt out, rotate forward, backward, elbows on a swivel, and then the wrist also tilts. Head spins back and forth, and then he actually does have some movement at the waist, but not a whole lot. So, give you kind of a spin around on him. Very cool figure. Next we'll do Angelique. This is one of my favorites of the female Cenobites. Probably my number one favorite. I love the look, the exposed skull right there. It looks so cool. As far as articulation goes, there's not a whole lot. This rotates at the shoulders, forward, backward, rotation at the mid-arm there, but it doesn't want to turn right now. The head's on a ball joint. The only problem is you cannot move the arms or the head without pulling off these metal strips that are attached to her flesh up top. So what I did was to have her hold the limit configuration, did the same as Julia and Pinhead, and just glued the lament configuration into place. So the only downside to this figure is that, take it off the stand here, it can topple over fairly easily. There's not a whole lot of balance to it. So if you have any of these stands, definitely comes in handy to make sure she doesn't go flying off the shelf. Put her back here. We'll do Surgeon next. This one's very cool looking. He's got that sort of brace face look to him, I guess. Not a whole lot going on here. His head pivots left and right. Rotation at the shoulders, at the elbows, at the wrists. Nothing from the waist down, though. And actually, he doesn't pivot at the torso either. He comes with these cool chains, a lot of accessories hanging off him here, a lot of really cool menacing tools. He's got like some blades, some little knives here and there. And this awesome buzzsaw looking thing. I don't even know how that works, but it's fucking awesome. Oh, and he's got a random meat cleaver, that too. Give you a spin around here. Very cool looking. And then we have CD, the most unfortunate DJ in all of hell. This is the guy that got the CDs smashed into his head in Hellraiser 3, and then turned into a Cenobite. He comes with a couple different CDs he can hold in his hand. You kind of have to wedge those in there, though. Also is covered in these chains and this random thing. I have never been able to figure out what the hell this is on his belt. But, okay. It doesn't hold the CDs, it doesn't do anything. It just kind of looks like it's supposed to be something, but never really got any full explanation on that. This one's got a bit more articulation on it. It's got a ball joint and full flexibility at the ankles, which was interesting. Flexible at the knee, at the upper hip, spins at the torso, pivots at the shoulder, pivots at the elbow, pivots at the wrists. He also can turn slightly at the head, but not a whole lot. And this figure's one of those that comes best in one stance. And the reason is because when you have him in that stance, his knees lock better, so he can hold himself up. But this is a cool figure. I think this was kind of a funny bit from the third film, but I thought it was neat that NECA actually went ahead to make one of these figures. So, last but not least is my favorite Cenobite, Dr. Chenard from the Chenard Institute. How he got a doctorate, I have no fucking idea. This guy is insane. But the detail on this is incredible. I'll give you kind of a spin around. It's got this awesome sort of organic flesh crane that comes up and holds the figure. Spin that around there. And then the base is actually the machine that created him, that put all the Cenobite portions into place. So it's got, on the crane, it's got articulation at the base. It kind of spins around slightly, which is neat. The base actually does separate. The bottom part kind of unclips here. Doesn't seem to want to go. I'm not going to force it. And then Dr. Chenard himself has articulation at the shoulders, in and out, up and down, rotation at the upper arm, rotation at the elbows, rotation at the wrists. He's also got swivel at the waist, swivel at the hips there, at the knees, at the mid-thigh, and then also at the ankle. But the ankles are fairly tight on this one, so... But yeah, comes with a couple different accessories. He comes with an alternate head, as well as an alternate one of these little hand extensions, which is cool. The hand extensions, you have to kind of wedge them in a certain way, but they will stick. They're very cool, though. but you have to be careful that you put them in the right way, or else they'll just kind of pop out on their own. But this one was a little harder to find. I ended up having to get this one off eBay. I think it was about 70 or 80 bucks I paid for it, but this is my favorite Cenobite, and it was well worth it, and the display factor on this is very, very cool. Very scary, so... yeah, I think that's about it. If you have any questions about the figures, just leave them in the comments below. Check out some of my other reviews, and thanks for watching.